Hey, what's up, guys? Gemini, and excuse me, I haven't been on here in a while. Just been busy with work and stuff. Hey, this video is a little different, but it's not wrestling related or anything. But I was just on Twitter, and I was reading. You guys know Sultan Battery 777. He he put up a thing about coronavirus, and he's doing good now, so you don't have to worry about him. A healthy young guy, but he got tested positive. Not to call him out or embarrass him or anything like that, but I can relate because there's something you guys don't know. This past April, I had COVID as well, and it was awful. And it's not something that talk about very often unless you're close to me. But yeah, it happened, and it was scary. It was really scary. And I can remember the first night I had it. This wasn't a normal thing, and so the hard part was I caught COVID. With the cough and the fever and everything, and so I went to the urgent care. And this is the first night. I had already called work. I was like, I'm gonna be done. And so I called work. I told them, look, I'm out for a couple days and maybe a couple weeks. So whatever, they're okay. I got my time off. That part's cool, so I'm covered at work. And so the first night I go to urgent care, and this was in April, and this thing had just broke loose, and they said, there's nothing we can do for you. We don't have any doctors available. We can't help you. And so that was the first urgent care. I couldn't get in. So I said, okay, I'm in deep shit. And so I'm like, okay, I better go to the emergency room. I go to the emergency room, and they had a table at the front desk. And they're like, hey, what's going on? I said, I think I have COVID. I don't know what to do. And then when I got to the emergency room, they're like, we can't help you. We have no beds. We can't help you. And so at this point, I had no medical care at all because the hospitals were full of sick people. The urgent care was full. The hospital was full, and I knew that the only way I can do this was to go home and just do it naturally on my own because I had no health care available. And this is legit. This is a true story. So I remember my first night. I was laying in bed, and that night, this is gross, but I had like 3 or 4 throw up coughs because I was coughing so hard I kept throwing up, and this was a first for me. I mean, I had never seen anything like this before where you throw up because you cough so hard. I was concerned because I go to bed that night, and I was laying in bed, and I had to sleep on my side, literally, um, just so I can freaking get comfortable. And I was hearing my lungs as I was breathing. I could barely catch my breath, and I was laying in bed that night, like, okay, I wonder if I call an ambulance right now. I wonder if they would be able to do anything for me. And I was that close to making that call to call an ambulance. And this thing went on for a while. And I mean, I've had some coughs before. I've had some really bad coughs. But this one I call the death cough. I mean, it was unlike any cough I'd ever had, completely uncontrollable. We're talking about maybe 100 coughs an hour. And, luckily for me, you know, I, have a pretty healthy immune system. And so I was able to fight this thing off in like 2, 3 weeks of just constant coughing, doing whatever I can at night to be able to sleep, even though at first, the first couple of days, the cough was actually so bad it was just keeping me up all night. So I was not sleeping well at all. And there's no magic pill for it. There's no magic cure. The only thing that fights COVID off is just time and resting. And, I got fortunate to get past this thing. The breathing part was one of the worst parts of COVID. being able to breathe. And I can tell you guys, since that day, well, because when COVID first broke out, you know, I wasn't careful about my mask. I wasn't careful about social distance. I wasn't careful about any. I was just going in large crowds of people, no mask, no anything. Like, I was just in Las Vegas in March, and we didn't know much about it. So I was in huge crowds watching a basketball tournament in Vegas, and none of us in the arena had masks on. None of us knew anything about it, and I'm suspicious that I did catch this in my trip to Vegas in the large crowd and large arenas, just being around tons of people, and nobody knew about it. Walking through the casinos and stuff with no mask on, and I came back, and I was sick. I was really sick, and I figured this cost me about a month of my life. But the truth about the COVID is, I was so sick in April that I wasn't sure. It was the first time in my life. It was the first time in my adult life in 40 years where I wasn't sure if I was going to be around anymore. I was just like my brain was fried. I didn't know, like, literally, if I was going to live past 40. And so what I started doing, I had no medical care available. So what I started doing was just started praying, like, really hard. Like, can I please just be okay to see my kids again? And it's cost me about a month of my life. I didn't see my kids for about a month there. I couldn't bring them around me. I was so sick. So COVID is very serious. Take it from a guy who's been through it. When you're out in those big crowds and stuff, be really careful about wearing your mask. Like, the mask is no joke. Like, it's not a hoax. I can tell you, I lived it, and if I would have known what I know now, when this thing first broke out, I would have had my mask on from the beginning. I would have stayed out of the crowds from the beginning. I didn't know. I didn't know how deadly it was. I didn't know how I wanted to die from it, but it is the truth that at first we didn't have the knowledge and really care about masks and stuff before they became mandated, but now, like, I'm so careful about that mask everywhere. I don't travel in airplanes. COVID left a scar on me to this day. I still can't laugh correctly without coughing. I think it scarred my throat a little bit, but thank goodness the death cough is gone, where I can just lay down at night and sleep without worrying about, can I get my next breath. I'm sitting here on my couch and my footrest to this day still has stains on it from the throat coughs. And this was not the flu, and this cost me a month of my life. It cost me time with my kids, and quite frankly, it was scary as hell because I didn't know if I was going to live anymore. And I was prepared to die, legit. And the mask and the social distance, they can say it's a hoax until you go through it. It is nasty. I hope none of you ever get it. I mean that.